Hey everybody, Eric here. Hope you guys are going well. I don't usually do like non-scripted videos, so I have no idea how this video is going to fare compared to some of my other uploads. But you know what? I really feel like I wanted to share this with you guys. As you can see, I've got a massive stack of PlayStation 1 JRPGs behind me, and I cannot wait to share them with you. Before we get to that, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment your thoughts down below. Let me know if you have some of these games. I'm really excited because I haven't been back to the US in like almost 10 years. So I'm finally back home, and the first thing I did was head on over to Micro Gameplay and Trade in upstate New York. It's my favorite shop ever. And of course, I have no self-control when it comes to this stuff. So if anything, this is just an excuse for me to write these games off as a business expense. So anyway, let's get to the games. So first thing we're going to have to get is a PlayStation 1 and controller as well. Now, my problem is that I said to myself, all right, I'm just going to get a PlayStation 1. I'm just going to get one game and we're just going to start there. And then we're going to play that game, finish it. And yeah, but obviously that didn't happen. So let's work our way down the list in no particular order, chat about what I got, why I bought it, and move on to the next one. So on top we have ChronoCross. Now, this isn't like my favorite game compared to Chrono Trigger, but it is actually a really good game in its own right. This, you know, you've got two alternate worlds, going from one world to the other, finding out the secret of, you know, why you're dead in the alternate universe and that kind of stuff. But the real highlight for me with ChronoCross is the music. I love the music that Yasunori Mitsuda composed for this game. It is absolutely timeless and remains one of my favorite JRPG soundtracks to this day. Next up, you know I had to get it. If you know me, Xenogears is one of my favorite games of all time. I need to clean up the case. Some of these games, like, aesthetically need to be buffed up a little bit, but that's okay. The games are mostly complete with manuals and stuff like that, but you know, some sticker residue I can always clean off. That's fine. But this game honestly is one of the games that I would say that just totally changed my trajectory for what kind of games I enjoy, because I really like games that make me think. And Xenogears, I tell you what, really made me think. I finished this for the first time back in 2020, just after my son was born. I was playing it on the PlayStation Vita just because it was convenient at the time, but this game really captivated me in a way that not a lot of games have since. So I have to get this game, of course. And most of these games I cannot buy, by the way. The greatest hits, the green label, has to be original black label, complete in box. I don't know. There's something wrong with my brain that just says I need to have these this way. Another game that I completed for the first time back in 2020 was Grandia. And of course, this is the first time that I'm owning it on PlayStation 1. Played it on the Vita before, but this was an amazing game. Really captivated me in a way similar to, like, you know, Saturday morning cartoons back in the late 90s. Being a kid on a Saturday morning, you know, eating cereal, whatever, or Pop-Tarts. And not that I can handle that food anymore because it gives me terrible heartburn. But Grandia was a really fantastic game. I love the adventure and exploration in that game. I have played this before. Yeah, like I said, on PlayStation Vita, there's the HD remaster, but I'm interested in checking this game out like one-to-one on a PlayStation 1 and a CRT. Another game that I got that I have owned before, but I haven't played is Final Fantasy Tactics. Now, you guys have been bothering me, well, not bothering, but you've been saying, hey, you got to play this game. Why isn't it included in the list games or the ranking games? And this is why I've never owned it until right now. Now, I went back and forth of, you know, in my head, which version should I get? Should I get the PlayStation Portable one? Or should I get the PlayStation 1 game? Or should I wait for the remaster that's coming out later in the year? And I knew what was going to happen. I was going to finally buy it for PlayStation 1, and then it was going to get announced as the remaster or whatever. And lo and behold, I literally bought this, and then a couple days later, Square came out with the announcement saying, hey, we're bringing this back. What are the odds? I knew that would happen. I literally knew it. Anyway, I'm excited to play this one. Depending on time, I may play this before the remake or the remaster that's coming out later in the year. It all just depends on where I'm at with my schedule. I only play one game at a time, so that way I can truly, you know, focus in on that. But a lot of people say some fantastic things about this game. This is like a, you know, supposedly top 3 Final Fantasy, but I look forward to getting to that point. Now, this is one that I've never played, and I literally know next to nothing about it. This is Brave Fencer Musashi. I bought this one a little bit cheaper because it didn't have the manual, but I'm a sucker for stuff like this. You can see here the rental labels. Like, some of you guys might pass up on copies like that, but there's just something about this like 90s aesthetic, like knowing that this came from a rental store just kind of really speaks to me in some way. I think probably because I'm so nostalgic about this stuff, and this is probably why a big reason why I've jumped back into PlayStation 1 collecting just in general. But this also comes with the Final Fantasy VIII demo disc, which is really cool, which I didn't know that was a thing until right now. Well, it does say that on the case there. Duh. That would help if I read, huh? But I know nothing about this game. This is supposedly a classic game that a lot of you guys have played before, but it just totally missed me back in the late 90s. So I'm excited to check it out. It looks like, you know, a hybrid 2D, 3D kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. we'll check it out. Now, this is not a PlayStation 1 JRPG, but I had to get it because I saw it. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. One reason why I got this is because years ago, probably 10 years ago or so now, I did have a small collection of PlayStation 1 games. This was one of them, and I remember buying it for 20 bucks. Now, when I look at the prices, they're just skyrocketing. Now, where I was before living in Australia, this game is like upwards of over $300, $400, $500 for the PAL version. So I saw this and I said to myself, I've got to get this game now before it gets any more expensive. And this is complete with the manual as well. It's got a little protector thing on it. But I'm not a huge Castlevania fan, but I'm a real sucker for the music in this game. I do like the Metroidvania approach to games every now and again. Really, the only two that I've played and completed in that style are like Hollow Knight and Metroid Dread. But this is one of the ones that people rave about. I really need to dedicate some time to it and sit down and play what allegedly is a masterpiece. Speaking of Final Fantasy VIII, of course, I have to grab myself a copy of Final Fantasy VIII. I've spoken about this game a lot on this channel before, and I love Final Fantasy VIII. It's one of the most timeless games of the late 90s or just in general. And honestly, I played this game a lot more than Final Fantasy VII growing up. I'm a huge fan of the game, the music, the story, the characters, like it all really spoke to me. But as I've gotten older, I found that I don't really appreciate it as much as maybe I would like to, probably because, you know, the junction system, the card game, like there's some convolutedness in the game overall. But that being said, it's a really great game for what it is. And if I can sit down and learn to master it and play the game and use all the systems and stuff to my advantage, then I might have a better time. But overall, like I was a sucker for this story. I loved the Laguna flashbacks and then finding out Squall and Laguna are actually tied together in some way. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't played it, but this is a really fun game and has all the discs as well. I'm a sucker for Final Fantasy VIII. One game I have played before, but I had to buy the PlayStation 1 game because honestly, it was actually really cheap. It's Star Ocean, the second story. This was a fantastic game. I'd never played a Star Ocean game until I played the remaster a couple of years ago. Man, that really blew me away. I had a fantastic time with this game and I had to buy it because you know what? I think it was only like 20 bucks, but I'm a sucker for Star Ocean now and I want to get back into playing more Star Ocean games. I think there was one on the PlayStation 2 that I had as a kid till the end of time. It was the one with the guy with the blue hair. I played a little bit of that and I remember that being hyped up when that released, but man, this really gave me the Star Ocean bug and I can't wait to dive in and play a little bit more. Now here's a game that was recommended to me at the store and I said, you know what, I'll pick it up based on your recommendations, and this is Azure Dreams. I know nothing about this game, so I can't even pretend to sit here and waffle on about it and say that I know anything. But I don't. I'm interested in this game. Whether or not I'm going to like it or not, I don't know. Supposedly it's kind of hard. But this was sitting behind the glass at the retro store, so you know the more expensive stuff is behind the glass. I usually tend to gravitate towards the more expensive things. Why? Because I don't know. I've just got expensive taste, I guess. But it was recommended to me based on my taste, so we'll see. If you guys like this game, tell me about it. Funny story about this one. This next one, Final Fantasy Chronicles. I have owned this once before when I was a kid, and the story goes is I was so in a hurry to get birthday gifts for my birthday once when this game came out. I think this is like 2001 or the early 2000s when this came out. I kept saying to my mother, can I have a gift early? Can I have an early gift? And I got this game the day before my birthday, and it turns out this was the only thing I had for that year, and I remember being so disappointed that I actually didn't have anything on my birthday. So from that point on, I don't like anything spoiled, like no spoilers, movie spoilers or anything. I don't like getting gifts early. I don't like any of that because that ruined all that for me. But Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger in one package is a fantastic thing. And all of my great games, like my Super Nintendo games and stuff, are over at a storage unit in Australia right now. So I actually can't play Chrono Trigger on my Super Nintendo copy. So I figured if I feel like playing it, at least I'll have it on PlayStation 1 and Final Fantasy IV as well. I love that game so much. I'm due for another playthrough soon. This is a collection that I've been wanting to buy for a long time, and I finally bought it. I have played a little bit of it. The game didn't really sit super well with me, so I'm going to take a break from it, but the Ark the Lad Collection. Now, this does come in like a box set with a manual and some little trinkets in the package, but I just opted for buying the games only purely because of cost. But this doesn't come with just Ark the Lad 1. This has Ark the Lad 1. It also has Ark the Lad 2, and then 3, which is a 2-disc game, I believe, and then there's Ark the Lad Monster Tournament. So there's a lot of games in here, and I want to talk to you guys more about Ark the Lad eventually once I get to like a review video of at least Ark the Lad 1, but I actually found out about this game through the soundtrack first, and there's a whole story with that, but the soundtrack for this game is killer, honestly. Check it out. Now for a game that I've never played and I know next to nothing about, but a lot of you guys have recommended it to me before. That's Breath of Fire 4. This is a Capcom classic JRPG. Same thing with Breath of Fire 3. I was almost going to say Breath of the Wild. I'm like so used to saying that, but Breath of Fire, like in terms of a series, I've just totally eluded me. I know nothing about this series at all, other than this is just like a classic, a beloved classic. And of course, it made my thumbnail in the video today because a lot of people like it. And I'm really keen to check this out at some stage here. It's on my list to get to this year, but I'm glad I got it because, yeah, it's one of those things that if you're collecting PS1 JRPGs, you just know you have to have it. Now, this one is the most expensive game out of the lot today, and I had to buy it. It's Suikoden 2. Now, I will say I played the Suikoden 1 and 2 collection this year, thanks to Konami with giving me a code and stuff like that. I had a great time. Honestly, I didn't know anything about Suikoden 1 and 2, but I really enjoyed myself. And I know that this game is like super expensive on the PlayStation 1, and I was in a position where I could buy it, so I did buy it. This is like a luxury item. Believe me, I know. I'm aware of how much all of this costs. But I have been saving for quite a while for this trip to the US, so it's not a frivolous purchase, believe me. But the one thing I will say about this is I bought this. It didn't have a manual. So what did I do? I went on Etsy and I bought a reproduction manual, which actually is not too bad quality. But what I will say is I noticed this isn't even the real like insert for the PlayStation 1 game. This is part of the manual that has been torn off. Look at this. This is the manual, and it was sold to me as actually being the genuine front cover. So I was really kind of disappointed with that, considering how much you pay for these things. So there you have it. Suikoden 2. The manual's even too thick to close the case properly, but yeah, I'm glad to own the game finally now. Another game that I have no experience with, or series in general, is Wild Arms. I take that back. There was a PlayStation 2 demo disc back in the early 2000s that had Wild Arms 3 as a demo, and I kind of enjoyed that. I do know that Wild Arms is another beloved series. I like the vibe. I like that it's, not a typical fantasy JRPG. I like that it's kind of more Western. That's all I know from there. The music's good, and it's more Western style JRPG than it is like a fantasy style. That's all I know. So I'm in for a treat once I finally get to it. Now for a series that I'm really loving at the moment, because I'm playing the game that came after this right now on PlayStation 2, Dragon Quest. But I think this might have been the last time it was labeled as Dragon Warrior, because I think my PlayStation 2 version of Dragon Quest says Dragon Quest 8 rather than Dragon Warrior. But yeah, it was Dragon Warrior in the US for a period of time. But Dragon Quest 7, this was like on the list of one of the best PlayStation 1 games just in general. And I'm starting to slowly fall in love with Dragon Quest after not avoiding it, but it's just never really grabbed me. I played 11. I loved it. I played Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D. Love that. I'm playing 8 right now and really loving that. So I think after I finish 8, I might jump back to 7. There's just something really therapeutic about grinding in Dragon Quest, whereas like other JRPGs just are a little bit mind-numbing if you're having to grind. But I don't know, Dragon Quest like just does something to me that like is like Zen mode in my brain. So I could sit there and just grind slimes for hours. But yeah, I'm excited to play this one and then just work my way back through the series. But Dragon Quest 7 is supposedly one of the better ones in the franchise. But let me know, do you agree with that? Now, this was the first game that I bought with my PlayStation 1 when I came here. That was Final Fantasy 7. I've got to have it. It's like one of my favorite games of all time. This is interesting because this is actually the misprint version. If you don't know, there was a edition of Final Fantasy 7 that came misprinted on the back of the case. Right here, it says above my finger, it should say Masterpiece as one word. That's not going to focus. I'll take a photo of it and show you guys. The I in Masterpiece is like floating like way over to the left of where it should be. So I don't know if it changes the value of it, but I got a pretty good deal on it. It's complete. Black label copy. Again, I can't buy any greatest hits. Seeing those green labels just look funky to me. So I've got to stick with Final Fantasy 7. But yeah, one of my favorite games of all time. This was the game that totally, changed the trajectory of my life and loving JRPGs. And I'll always have a soft spot for this one. So whether you like Final Fantasy 7 or not, it's hard to deny the influence this one has had on gaming in general. And of course, I did grab Suikoden 2, but I did also pick up Suikoden 1. I had no idea the front cover art looked like this. This is like nothing like what the game actually looks like. Of course, you can look at the back and see all the photos and stuff of like still images of what the game looks like, but who thought about this? Like, this is so dumb. It really just reminds me of that era from like the late 80s, early 90s, where certain things were marketed a certain way in the US, for example, to look more tough or look more fantasy. Like, I much would have preferred having photos of like the anime looking characters from Suikoden rather than this. This just looks like a cheesy 90s B movie or something like that. I don't know. It is what it is. But Suikoden, I actually really love Suikoden. It's become a series that I've really enjoyed, and now that I have the PlayStation 2, which I'll share pickups for you guys eventually, I also have to grab Suikoden 3, but Suikoden 1, great game. Okay, I've got 2 more PS1 JRPGs. This one is Guardian's Crusade. This is like I wouldn't say more user-friendly game, but it's a more approachable JRPG on the PlayStation 1. It's under the shorter, it's like on the shorter spectrum of time that you could sink into a game, and just very approachable. So I would say, like, if you're going to play PlayStation 1 JRPGs and you haven't really dabbled in them before, and you don't want to play Final Fantasy or anything that you really recognize, I would say try Guardian's Crusade. It's fun, it's whimsical, it's more cartoony, you know, it's more like that classic PlayStation 1 polygonal look. It's bright and vibrant, and I think the disc is also pink as well, which is really cool. I like that. It's a nice touch. And this is like usually a cheaper game that you can pick up as well. And we can't have PlayStation 1 JRPGs Sony without the game that Sony themselves made. Maybe not necessarily as the Final Fantasy killer, because it didn't reach that height, but Legend of Draun. I really like this game, honestly. Like, I played this a lot back in the day. I never finished it, but I finished this back in 2020. What did I say? 2020. 2020, that's what everybody says. I was obviously on a big run of JRPGs with Xenogears, Grandia, Legend of Draun. I like this game a lot. It's very cheesy in some aspects, but you know what? For what they did at the time on 4 discs, it was a really great adventure. Some of the names in the game are a bit weird. Overall, it's a bit of a kind of semi-clunky adventure, but I really like The Legend of Draun. I've got a soft spot for this, and Legend of Draun, this is now available for you to play on PlayStation 5 conveniently as well, if you don't want to get the PS1 set up like I'd have. So there you have it. There's my list of PlayStation 1 JRPG pickups. This is a longer video, so I appreciate you guys hanging out and sticking with me. Let me know, what is your favorite game out of the bunch today that you saw? Do you have any of these? Do you own any of these games physically, or are you even still collecting? Collecting retro games is very expensive these days, and I figured, you know what, I've got some money saved for my trip over here. We're here for a couple of months. I got to get them now before they're going to get any more expensive. And plus, I really like to play the NTSC versions rather than the PAL versions back in Australia, where all my stuff is. So I'm going to have to card all these back or mail them back as well. So we'll see how we go. So thanks so much again for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Again, comment, subscribe, like, and stuff, and we'll see you again on another video next week. Bye-bye.